In the years since nuclear submarines emerged on the scene, safety systems have been upgraded significantly. But as the tragedy of the Kursk demonstrated, the possibility of disaster remains ever present. On August the 12th, 2000, K-141 Kursk disappeared in the Barents Sea with 118 men on board. Later investigations showed that a number of the men survived the initial explosion that sank the craft into the mud at the bottom of the sea, and later died of suffocation. The Oscar II class nuclear missile submarine was a showpiece of the Russian Navy and the largest attack submarine ever built. The Russians insisted they did not need international help and could rescue the occupants of the stricken sub by themselves. However, the rescue attempts ended in failure. Investigations determined that the most likely cause of the disaster was a leak of hydrogen peroxide in the forward torpedo room that caused a warhead to detonate, leading to a chain reaction of other explosions. 2 Dutch salvage companies were hired to retrieve the wreckage, a massive undertaking given that the submarine was resting 354 feet below the waves and weighed almost 24,000 tons underwater. The retrieval team used a giant cutting chain to sever the front section and lift the bow first. The rest of the submarine was retrieved later using heavy-duty lifting cables, which were anchored into the sub through holes drilled by divers and securely plugged. The Kursk was hauled onto pontoons and transferred to dry dock for examination. Relatives of the dead sailors felt the situation was handled badly by a top brass reeling from the scale of the catastrophe. On the 5th anniversary of the disaster, several attended a somber ceremony at the Kursk Memorial in Moscow. A Naval Guard of Honor laid a wreath at the foot of the monument to remember those who lost their lives. Although there is now an official explanation for the explosion on board the Kursk, there is still speculation in Russian media and countless conspiracy theories. Navy top brass took 2 days to reveal a malfunction on board the Kursk, and then delivered a rash of contradictory statements. Officials alluded to a collision with a NATO vessel. They said the crew was tapping out SOS messages on the hull. Then they announced that the crew had died minutes after the blasts, rendering the Navy's delayed, botched rescue effort pointless. Sofia Leonova, whose son Dmitry died on the Kursk, said she was still upset at the way officials informed her and other families of the accident.
I think they did everything they could, but couldn't save the sailors. But they should have told us immediately and should not have prolonged the wait. The accident happened on August 12th, and only on August 24th were we told all of them had died. Then we wouldn't have had such a long period of tension and worry.
The ceremony came just days after the dramatic rescue of 7 sailors from a Russian mini-submarine.
Back then, in August 2000, it was clear that we did not have modern equipment. Since then, we have bought everything that we could have possibly bought, and I want to emphasize that. The equipment we have on our rescue ships today are called Venom. They have been procured from England, and their operators have been trained in England, and they are much better than the Scorpio.
In North Korea, the government is alleging that a mini-sub it has put on display in Pyongyang is an unmanned American spy sub it captured off the North Korean coast in 2004.